when you fight things in your life, do not stop the fight too early. Strike your enemy until your enemy is destroyed, not defeated, not retreated, destroyed. A lot of times we fight things in our lives and then we stop the fight too early. We stop the fight when we feel good. We stop the fight when things look good, when we have a good day. The whole time, it's just the enemy in retreat and he plans on coming back stronger. And then we get confused when we go through even harder fights in our life when we could have just destroyed the enemy the first time. So there's a story in Second Kings, and King Jehoash, he goes to the prophet Elisha, and he's telling him about the battle that he is dealing with, and he's telling him about the enemies that he is dealing with. And Elisha tells him to get a bow and arrow. Excuse me. He tells him to get a bow and arrow, and then he tells him to open the eastern window and to shoot the arrow out. Elisha places his hand over the king's hand as he shoots, and he declares that the arrow is the Lord's arrow and that victory is imminent. Then he gives him a prophetic instruction. He tells him to take some arrows and to strike the ground. King Jehoash, he does this, and he strikes the ground 3 times. You would think the story's over, everything's fine and dandy. But actually, Elisha gets upset. He says, you should have struck the ground 5 or 6 times, and then your enemy would have been destroyed. But since you only struck the ground 3 times, you'll only be victorious 3 times. And so that just goes to show us that when you do things, make sure you do it all the way, not just as much as you think you need to do it. And then secondly, it gives a view into prophetic instructions. When you receive prophetic instructions, one, you should judge the prophetic instruction. Let's be serious. There's a lot of weirdos out here. But if you're in a church where you can't trust your leader, or you're under the mentorship of someone that you can't trust, then maybe you might want to deal with that first. But for all intents and purposes, we're going to say that your leader and your mentor are true men and women of God. And when they give you prophetic instructions, you should follow the prophetic instruction. And not only should you follow the prophetic instruction, you should follow it with the full force of what you expect to occur on the other side. Now, in this situation, Elisha told him to strike the ground. And he only struck it 3 times because he only felt like he needed to strike it 3 times, although he had more arrows available. Now, let's say your mentor or your spiritual leader, your pastor, your whatever, tells you to yell for a prophetic instruction. You should yell with everything that you have in you. You should strike the ground with all of the force that you can strike. You should run every circle that you're instructed to run as fast and efficiently as possible. And it's not really the things that they're telling you to do. It's more so an act of faith on your behalf. It's more so the things that you're putting into the spirit. Because everything occurs in the spirit before we even see it with our own eyes and before we even experience it. So when you're calling for victory, you're not going to see victory first. Victory is going to occur in the spirit first. And then you'll see it yourself in natural life, in physical life, however you want to put it.